Hello. The research paper that I'll be presenting today is evaluating discrete viewpoint controls to reduce cybersickness in virtual reality. The authors of this paper are Yassine Farmani and Robert J. Tether. The purpose of this paper is to present a formal study of discrete motion techniques for reducing cybersickness in a series of experiments. These studies were intended to provide parameters within which to operate the techniques. Implementation. We will be experimentally evaluating two discrete method techniques they referred to as rotational snapping and translational snapping. They conducted two experiments measuring participants' cybersickness levels via the widely used simulator sickness questionnaire. The research question that they were answering was experimentally two different methods to find out the different nausea levels caused by rotational and translational snapping. Rotational snapping. This experiment was designed to establish an approximate rotation speed threshold within which to activate a rotational snapping. How far to snap, essentially calibrating the rotational snapping technique. In translational snapping, they conducted a second study to evaluate the effectiveness of discrete motion when applied to viewpoint translation. The procedure that they followed in rotational snapping was 12 participants were recruited that were university students between the ages of 19 to 35. 4 students were female and 8 were male. In translational snapping, 9 participants were recruited, 4 females and 5 males. Each participant was a student and the majority had experienced VR systems between 1 to 10 times. A single participant never used VR before and 2 participants used VR very frequently. The analysis of the experiment was they completed a pre-SSQ questionnaire to ensure that they did not present any cybersickness symptoms before the study. No symptoms were reported, participants were not compensated. The result of this experiment was that it indicated that both rotational snapping and translational snapping both significantly reduced cybersickness by 40% for rotational snapping and 50% for translational viewpoint movement. They also reduced the participants' nausea level, especially with longer VR exposure. Presence level, error rates, and performance were significantly not affected by either technique. The conclusion of the article is that they established operational parameters and then evaluated two techniques for reducing cybersickness caused by visual vestibular conflicts in stationary VR setups. I felt that the paper will have a major impact in the VR industry, as one of the main problems that is being tackled by this paper is being cybersickness. The two graphs below, one for rotational snapping and the other for translational snapping, show that the nausea levels have been reduced compared without using these techniques. For future works, they will be focusing on establishing a more reliable threshold since it is possible the current implementation unnecessarily activates rotational snapping at a lower rotational speed than that is strict. A more well-established snapping threshold may yield better results, so they proposed to redesign both translational and rotational snapping techniques to consider the speed of camera moment of rotation.